Good morning. I'm Barney Rosenberg. I'm a senior judge this morning. And in this part of the competition, you're taking on a fictional business identity. And you're also assigning an identity to us for this session. So please make sure that everybody knows who you are. So you can use your names, but not your schools. You have 25 minutes to describe the legal, financial, and ethical dimensions of the problem you've identified, and to recommend a solution that passes muster on all three counts. And during this time, we will not interrupt you. When you're finished, we'll spend the next 10 or 15 minutes asking you questions, again, in character, in the roles you've assigned to us. When that's over, we'll all take a deep breath, and then we'll give you some feedback. So, anytime you're ready, you can get started.
Okay. We are Tobacco Transparency Consulting. We are looking at the ethics of nicotine imports and the closer look at ZYN's role in U.S. markets. I am Jameson Canny, and I'm joined by Layla McKeever, Chris Perez, and Luis Tito. So, good afternoon, everyone. Today, me and my group, Tobacco Transparency Consulting, will be talking about ZYN, one of the most popular nicotine pouch products on the market, and we will be breaking down exactly what's inside of it, how it compares to traditional cigarettes, and what the health risks we should be aware of. ZYN is a brand of nicotine pouches owned by Philip Morris International, but operated by the company Swedish Match. ZYNs are small, white pouches you tuck between your lip and gum. They don't contain tobacco leaf, so they're marketed as tobacco-free, but that doesn't mean that they're harmless. They contain nicotine salt, which is fabricated in labs with the same chemical makeup as nicotine found in the tobacco leaf. We will take you through the financial impacts ZYN has had on Philip Morris. We'll also take you through the ethical issues ZYN has faced, how ZYN has marketed, why it has worked so well for them, and why the youth are so enticed to pick up nicotine products. We will take you through the financial, legal, business, as well as our recommendations, followed by a conclusion. Each pouch contains nicotines, flavorings, sweeteners, and various other chemicals. You don't need to spit or smoke it, which makes it easy to use discreetly. This has made it especially popular among teens and young adults. While the packaging often lists harmless-sounding ingredients like flavorings or sweeteners, recent independent studies and lab tests have found more concerning substances inside. Some of the substances found in ZYNs are formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is traditional use is for embalming fluid after a person or animal has passed away in order for them to keep their shape and prevent decomposition. It is also used as a disinfectant and found in many types of cleaning solutions. With this ingredient found in ZYNs, it carries many health concerns. It is a known carcinogen. Long-term exposure can lead to cancer, particularly in the throat and nose, and it is also a respiratory irritant. Chromium is also found in ZYNs, and it is used in stainless steel and chrome plating. It's also found in dyes and paints, and various health concerns range depending on the form of the chromium. Some forms, especially hexavalent chromium, are toxic and carcinogenic. It can damage the liver, kidneys, and respiratory system. Nickel is also found in ZYNs. What you would normally find nickel in is batteries, coins, and electronics. Cell phones, computers, televisions, they all contain large amounts of nickel as it is cheap and conducts heat, as well as electricity, all while keeping the price low for the producer. Long-term exposure of nickel has been linked to lung cancer, skin conditions like dermatitis, and allergic reactions. It is also considered a possible carcinogen. Ammonia. Its traditional use is for cleaning agents, fertilizers, and industrial refrigerants. The health concerns it carries is when ammonia is used in nicotine products, it can increase nicotine absorption, making the product more addictive. It also irritates the respiratory tract and can cause soreness and irritation. Long-term exposure has been known to cause throat and mouth cancer. There's also non-caloric sweeteners like sucralose. Non-caloric sweeteners have been found in sugar-free gum, diet sodas, processed foods, but non-caloric sweeteners are generally regarded as safe in small amounts. Some studies suggest these sweeteners can disrupt gut health and cause headaches in sensitive individuals. Let's talk about the differences between nicotine and ZYN and the tobacco of traditional cigarettes. Cigarettes contain freebase nicotine, which is absorbed through the lungs and when smoked. It hits the brain quickly, within seconds, and it is very addictive. The difference between cigarettes and smokeless tobacco products like Zyn is that Zyn uses nicotine salt, a modified form of nicotine that is more stable and easier to absorb through the mouth. It's less harsh than freebase nicotine, meaning it doesn't burn or sting as much like when you would smoke a cigarette, but it's still potent and highly addictive. Nicotine pouches like Zyn are much different from tobacco products that are absorbed in the mouth. So while Zyn avoids tobacco leaf, it delivers a strong nicotine hit, and in a way makes it easier for teens and adults to start using and harder to stop, especially for young people. Studies have shown that a nicotine pouch has about the same amount of nicotine per milligram found in cigarettes. The difference is Zyns are odorless and able to be hidden in tobacco-free areas like schools, which makes it very popular for the younger groups. So what are the overall health effects of Zyn? Addiction. Zyn delivers concentrated nicotine, which can rewire the brain, especially for adolescents. It can alter attention, learning, mood, and impulse control. Early nicotine exposure increases the risk of future addiction to other substances. Cardiovascular strain. Nicotine increases heart rate and blood pressure, putting stress on the cardiovascular system. Over time, this increases the risk of heart attack and strokes. Oral health issues. There's no smoke, so Zyn can lead to gum irritation, receding gums, and mouth lesions. Some users report chronic dry mouth, and it has been known to cause mouth and throat cancer. Unknown long-term risks. We don't know because they're so new that we don't fully understand the long-term health consequences, especially in terms of how the chemical mix of everything that they have in those Zyns interacts with over time in the body. I will be now passing this presentation off to my coworker, Chris. He will be going over the financial aspect.
Thank you, Jamie. Now on to the financial issues. Zyn has experienced remarkable growth in recent years, contributing significantly to Philip Morris's revenue. In 2023 alone, the company reported over $1 billion in sales from nicotine pouches, showcasing the strength of this emerging market. This success stems from the expanding customer base, particularly among adult consumers looking for alternative nicotine products. One key financial advantage for Zyn is the current regulatory environment, which differs from traditional tobacco products. By positioning itself as tobacco-free brand, Zyn has been able to maximize profit margins while keeping costs competitive. However, as the regulatory landscape evolves, it is essential to proactively assess potential shifts in taxation and compliance with and maintain financial stability and long-term growth. As you can see, this chart shows Philip Morris International's financial performance from 2022 through the projected outlook in 2027. The company's revenue currently at $37 billion, and other key metrics like earnings, free cash flow are forecasted to grow steadily. This reflects a strong financial foundation and a resilient business model. However, as consultants, we see the strong trajectory as an opportunity, not a signal to stay complacent. Maintaining long-term profitability in the modern regulatory and ethical landscape means proactively aligning and evolving with the FDA standards and consumer expectations. Next slide. Philip Morris's financial strategy benefits from targeting marketing and advocacy efforts, ensuring that Zyn remains a market leader. In 2022 alone, the company invested strategically in market research and policy engagement, ensuring that products continue to meet both consumer expectations and regulatory standards. Looking ahead, a key opportunity is to further enhance transparency and consumer education, reinforcing Zyn's commitment to responsible marketing by proactively addressing consumer concerns. Philip Morris can maintain a brand reputation while strengthening trust and loyalty to its customer base. As we can see on the slide, this chart highlights the remarkable growth of Zyn in U.S. shipment volumes, showing an increase from just 1 million cans in Q3 in 2017 to nearly 500 million cans by Q4 2024. This exponential rise clearly indicates the strong consumer demand and effective marketing penetration, especially within the U.S. From a financial standpoint, this growth is a major success, but from an ethical and regulatory standpoint, it also brings increased visibility and scrutiny. As Zyn becomes more mainstream, especially among younger demographics, the responsibility to ensure transparent labeling, safe ingredient use, and strict compliance with the FDA standards becomes more critical. Next slide. As regulatory frameworks evolve covering the areas like labeling, taxation, and ingredient disclosures, Philip Morris has a prime opportunity to lead the industry by embracing both compliance and innovation. While stricter standards can introduce new challenges, they also allow Philip Morris International to showcase its commitment to corporate responsibility. For instance, clear labeling and proactive public health initiatives could become competitive differentiators for ZYN, reinforcing consumer trust and ethical leadership. Similarly, preparing now for potential taxation changes will help mitigate future financial impacts while preserving profitability. ZYN's financial model has already proven to be a significant growth driver. By aligning strategic financial planning with evolving market conditions, viewing regulatory shifts not as obstacles but as catalysts for innovation, PMI can secure sustainable long-term success. Continued investment in research, consumer trust programs, and strategic compliance will position Philip Morris as a forward-thinking, responsible leader in the nicotine pouch market. As we can see on the slide, the chart shows Philip Morris International stock performance over time, with key industry events highlighted to provide context. Around 2016, Juul rapidly gained popularity in the US, which marketed a shift in consumer behavior towards alternative nicotine products. However, by 2018, flavored Juul pods were banned in the US, contributing to a dip in the broader nicotine industry and regulatory pressure inflicted by Philip Morris International stock flattening and declining during that period. In contrast, between 2019 and 2022, ZYN saw a massive 641% growth in the US, filling demand for discrete tobacco-free alternative. This is mirrored by a slow but steady recovery in Philip Morris's stock as the company adapted to its product strategy. And most recently, on January 16, 2025, the FDA officially authorized ZYN for US sale, which triggered a sharp stock increase, signaling market approval and investor confidence with the PMI's ability to innovate and operate within regulatory frameworks. What this shows is regulatory changes, while initially disruptive, can become catalysts for growth if met with the strategic adaptation. PMI's recent stock surge is a strong financial indicator that aligning with regulation doesn't just avoid penalties, it can be a long-term value. I'm passing it off to Layla for legal.
Thank you, Chris. I would now like to discuss our legal analysis of these products in Philip Morris International. The recent authorization by the FDA of 20 flavored nicotine pouch products, including ZYN Citrus and Cool Mint, has unleashed significant debate among health advocates, industry representatives, and policymakers. Our company examined the legal framework under which these products were authorized, the regulatory challenges posed by their marketing, and the enforcement measures necessary to prevent youth access. Now, regarding the FDA authorization and framework, the FDA's authorization of the flavored nicotine pouches falls under the pre-market tobacco product application, also known as the PMTA process, which is a requirement established by the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act. This process requires that the manufacturers must demonstrate their products to show they are appropriate for the protection of public health. While this standard considers potential benefits to adult smokers seeking alternatives to flammable tobacco, it also weighs the risk of youth addiction. Despite the FDA's authorization, the agency acknowledges that no tobacco product is safe. The American Lung Association and other health organizations have criticized the FDA's decision, arguing that flavored nicotine pouches appeal to younger demographics, increasing the likelihood of addiction. As you saw in the previous slide and Chris discussed, the surge in nicotine pouch sales between 2019 and 2022 skyrocketed 641%, and this suggests that these concerns are not unwarranted. Now I will discuss Juul Labs, the company behind the popular e-cigarette Juul. This company has faced major legal issues and public health controversies, particularly related to its marketing practices and the health risks associated with vaping. Juul was widely criticized for targeting young people through sleek product designs, flavored pods, and social media campaigns, which led to a dramatic rise in youth vaping across the U.S. The company has been sued by multiple states, school districts, and individuals who allege that Juul misled consumers about the safety and addictiveness of its products. In response to these lawsuits and growing pressure from health officials, Juul agreed to pay over $1 billion in settlements and significantly change its advertising approach. Like Philip Morris, Juul's faced backlash for promoting its products as safer alternatives to traditional cigarettes without fully disclosing the potential risks. Despite positioning itself as a harm reduction option for adult smokers, Juul continues to be scrutinized for its role in what public health officials have called a youth vaping epidemic, leading to ongoing regulatory restrictions and damaged public reputation. Philip Morris has also faced significant legal challenges over the years, particularly related to the health risks of smoking and its marketing practices. The company has been the target of thousands of lawsuits from individuals, states, and class action groups accusing it of misleading the public about the dangers of smoking, failing to provide proper health warnings, and targeting youth through its advertising. One of the most significant outcomes was the 1998 Master Settlement Agreement, in which Philip Morris and the major tobacco companies agreed to pay over $200 billion to 46 U.S. states and change their marketing practices, especially those aimed at young people. Additionally, the company faced lawsuits over its deceptive marketing of light and low-tar cigarettes, which were promoted as safer alternatives but were shown to be just as harmful due to the offsetting behaviors that sustain nicotine exposure. More recently, Philip Morris has been under scrutiny for its development and promotion of reduced-risk products like IBESCC, with critics arguing that these products are being marketed in ways that appeal to the youth, raising new concerns about public health and tobacco regulation. Regarding the IBESCC, it is a line of heated tobacco products designed to use with tobacco and zero tobacco nicotine containing consumables. In 2006, the U.S. Department of Justice won a major lawsuit against Philip Morris and other tobacco companies under the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, also known as RICO. The court found that Philip Morris had engaged in a decade-long conspiracy to deceive the risks of the secondhand smoke. Evidence showed that the company knowingly misled customers through false advertising, public statements, and the promotion of safer cigarette alternatives that were not actually less harmful. As a result of this ruling, Philip Morris was ordered to punish corrective statements in newspapers, on television, and on cigarette packaging to inform the public the truth about smoking and the health risks. This case was a landmark decision in holding tobacco company accountable for deceptive practices. So now we have reached the midpoint of our presentation. We've discussed the synopsis and the financial and legal aspects. Coming up, we will discuss the business aspects, our recommendations, and finally our conclusion. I will now pass it to Luis to discuss the business aspects.
Thank you, Loyola. For my part, I will be talking on some more background about Philip Morris and as well as their marketing strategy. So Philip Morris International, also known as PMI, is one of the world's leading tobacco companies. Known for producing and selling cigarettes and other nicotine products across more than 180 markets. Founded in 1847 in London, the company has grown into a global leader in the tobacco industry, with its most well-known product being Marlboro. Originally a part of Altria Group, PMI became an independent entity in 2008 and now operates separately, focusing on international markets. Despite the declining trend of traditional cigarette consumption due to increased health concerns and regulatory pressures, PMI has adapted by shifting its focus towards smokeless and reduced-risk products. This transition aligns with the company's long-term strategy to move beyond combustible cigarettes and establish itself as a leader in the next generation of nicotine products. PMI's flagship smokeless product that Layla mentioned earlier, IQOS, has been the center of this shift, providing an alternative to traditional smoking by using a heated tobacco system that reduces exposure to harmful chemicals. Philip Morris's current market strategy revolves around the concept of smoke-free future, which aims to phase out cigarettes in favor of scientifically backed, less harmful nicotine alternatives. The company has invested heavily in research and development, allocating billions of dollars towards innovation in heated tobacco and e-vapor products. IQOS, PMI's primary reduced-risk product, is now available in dozens of countries and has received regulatory approvals in several key markets, including a risk tobacco product designation from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. This designation gives PMI a competitive advantage by allowing them to market these products as a less harmful alternative to traditional cigarettes. The success of PMI's smokeless strategy is evident in its market penetration and consumer adoption. The company has aggressively expanded its presence in regions with strict anti-smoking laws, such as Europe and Asia, where health-conscious consumers are more inclined to switch to reduced-risk products. Additionally, PMI has leveraged digital marketing, direct-to-consumer sales models, and partnerships with retailers to accelerate the adoption of ZYNs. By focusing on an alternative that appeals to both regulatory bodies and consumers seeking a less harmful option, PMI has positioned itself as a leader in the evolving tobacco and nicotine industry. In terms of competitive advantage, PMI's competitive advantage lies in its first mover status and investment in smokeless technology. While other tobacco companies have entered the heated tobacco and vaping markets, PMI has maintained a significant lead due to its early and substantial investments in research, regulatory approvals, and consumer education. The company's commitment to scientific research has strengthened its credibility with policymakers, giving it an edge in regulatory negotiations and product approvals worldwide. In this slide, you can see here, to obtain a better understanding of how bad this cycle of addiction has gotten in the youth, me and my team decided to conduct an anonymous survey through our school campus, asking students whether they have used nicotine products underage or not. The survey results were not shocking and showed us that almost half of the school's population had tried nicotine products underage, whether it was smokeless or smoke included. This further enhances our point that by targeting youth markets, Philip Morris has been able to create a whole market strategy based off addiction. A way that Philip Morris has strategically advertised their product is through social media platforms and influencers. Listed below are some of the names that have directly or indirectly advertised the use of ZYNs on their social media platforms. Many known influencers in today's world have openly supported the use of ZYNs. Some of these big names include the likes of Joe Rogan, RFK, and Logan Paul. Someone in this list that I would like to point out specifically and focus on is RFK, as he is our new nominee for the head of the FDA. RFK has openly come out about the positive effects of nicotine pouches on productivity. While undermining all of the health concerns around these pouches, he openly supports the use and encourages his viewers to do so as well. This is a clear conflict of interest and it needs to be resolved. Some of the way these influencers manage to advertise these products include paid ads and paid promotions, and also indirect approval. What I mean by this is many influencers do not have direct brand deals with these products, but they still show their utmost support through their platforms and continue to mention it throughout their videos. And as you can see above, we have included some of the reward systems that ZYN includes in their website. So for every can you earn on this website, you get 15 points. And as you can see, we showed a bunch of the examples that they have on the website that you can save up for. So why we believe this is a really bad idea is that it is just feeding more into the addiction cycle, as it is enforcing people to buy more and more products, and it incentivizes them to get some rewards in return. And as you can also see, a lot of these points are very high, and if it's only 15 per can, it'll make consumers buy a lot more cans. And now I'll be passing it off to Layla for our first recommendation.
Thank you, Luis. In light of the growing issue of nicotine pouch products like ZYN, it is essential that Philip Morris be held strictly accountable under the existing U.S. Food and Drug Administration regulatory frameworks. These standards exist to protect public health, especially that of the youth, from deceptive marketing practices and unapproved product distribution. We, as a company, analyze this and recommend that the FDA requires that all new tobacco products, including nicotine pouches, undergo rigorous review through the pre-market tobacco product application process before they can be legally marked. We believe that Philip Morris must be required to submit and receive approval for each individual nicotine pouch before product distribution, provide scientific evidence demonstrating the marketing of the product is appropriate for the protection of public health, and include data on potential youth usage, addictiveness, toxicology, and the likelihood of switching among current adult smokers. If Philip Morris fails to meet these criteria, the FDA should take decisive enforcement action, including removal of unauthorized products from the market. In case of continued violation or deceptive practices, Philip Morris should face product bans or market removals, hefty financial penalties, legal action under the deceptive marketing or racketeer influence and corrupt organization statutes as used in prior cases involving tobacco companies. I will now hand it off to Chris for our second recommendation.
Thank you, Layla. One of our key recommendations is implementing stricter oversight on both Philip Morris and ingredients used in its products, particularly those marketed as harm reduction alternatives like Zyn. While PMI has made progress is offering smoke-free options, greater transparency around ingredients such as sweeteners, flavorings, and chemical additives is essential. These substances can significantly impact both public perception and long-term health outcomes, especially as products like Zyn and Zyn gain popularity among younger demographics. Stricter oversight doesn't imply distrust. It's a chance to lead by example. By voluntarily exceeding current disclosure standards or working proactively with regulators, PMI can solidify its reputation as a forward-thinking and responsible company. This also aligns with the growing consumer demand for cleaner labels and corporate accountability. Clear ingredient transparency builds trust, not just with regulators, but with customers, healthcare professionals, and shareholders. Now we'll be passing it Jamie for the conclusion.
Hi. We have gone through the business effects. We've gone through the legal effects. We've gone through the financial effects. We talked about how Zyn does not have enough research behind it to determine the long-term health effects of it. We've talked about the ingredients that are in Zyn and how it can cause cancer and how they are using ingredients that are not edible, formaldehyde, ammonia, nickel, chromium. We've talked about how the financial increase over the last couple of years since Juul has not become a thing, how it's been banned by the FDA. We've talked about how Zyn has become a pronounced product in the tobacco world that is fueling youth addiction. And we talked about how they are using people that have large followings of underage and youth groups to market their product and talk about what will happen. And I think our conclusion, we talked about our recommendations, how Zyn is marketed towards the youth groups. We talked about how we think that PMI should follow the regulations set in place by the FDA in order to keep the youth from falling into another epidemic that has happened to the last generation before us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. That is our presentation.
Well, thank you all for your thoughtful presentation, but I'm a little bit concerned. As a member of the board of Philip Morris, are you actually asking us to go to the government and ask the government to regulate us more?
No, sir. We're asking you to look out for the youth generation. We don't want the youth generation to fall into another epidemic of addiction like our forefathers, like my father, like my grandfather. And, when I have kids, I don't want them to fall into this form of addiction that consumes our generation and the generations before us, because that's not what we need. We don't need nicotine to go away as a whole. We need the ingredients in those products that are known to cause cancer to be out. There's no reason that formaldehyde that is for rigor mortis needs to be put in nicotine products when there could be something more natural for that.
So are you suggesting that we go out of business?
We're actually suggesting a shift in the way you market your product. So we are suggesting all the downsides that the company will face if they continue to follow through with this planning. And eventually they will face backlash from the community as they are falsely advertising it as a healthier alternative. So no, we're not asking you to fully just stop the business you have going right now. We are asking you to redirect the way you are going in terms of the marketing strategy, as it will end up facing backlash and it will face severe financial problems, as we believe.
Thank you. Kimberly, do you have some questions for them?
Yes, I do. So thank you so much for your information, your presentation. I think, Zen, we've done an amazing job advertising to our target audience, as you so demonstrated. And we do hear your concerns. So my question would be, how would you advertise? Because you have some interesting recommendations, but reading on a label, people really don't read the labels. They'll just take our product because we've done an awesome job advertising. How would you advertise to the youth to ensure that they are well informed?
I would let them know that what they are putting in their bodies is causing cancer. A lot of foreign countries, Canada and Mexico being one of them, put images on the cans of nicotine products that they sell. Their cigarette cartons have pictures of the effects that happen long term if you use these products long term. Horrible pictures that really make the user not want to keep using. If you look at some of these pictures that are showing people dying or people, having horrible things happen to them, mouth cancer, lung cancer, it really makes you not want to use these products. And I think if we started marketing that way and, let this upcoming generation of youth users know what will happen to them in the long term, have people go into schools and do outreach sessions for these kids, just like they do drug outreach sessions for these kids, then I think it would really make a difference.
Well, and I appreciate your response. I guess I would say, we meet our consumers where they are. We have an awesome website. We have a rewards program that's available. So I think that really touches that really speaks to our target audience. So I hear what you're saying, Jameson. I think maybe an older audience would appreciate those marketing, but specifically, how would you get this message to the target audience that we have here? Because in general, like I said, our consumers, they're not going to read the labels, which is good in a way. So tobacco
I feel
transparency.
like I feel like the way that we could market avoid the youth from using our products would be one of our recommendations having clear labels. I know you said people don't read the labels, so we need to make it I guess pop out, I guess. Having like what Jamie said, images of the side effects of Zyn. And yeah.
To piggyback off of Chris, I don't think it's just like the label and things that are issue. I think one of the main issues is, like you said, the rewards program, where we're promoting and encouraging, especially the youth, to continue to buy these products with rewards such as, Amazon gift cards. That's something, a 18-year-old would love to just receive and be able just to spend that money. And with how much that costs, again, it's just promoting the youth and that audience to continue to buy to reach the goal that they want in terms of rewards. And at that point, it would be very hard to stop them and bring them back from wanting to achieve that reward or that goal.
Let's just, we're faced with a decision. Let me take us to the extreme case here. If we walk away from Zyn, what's the impact on our revenues and what's the impact on our profitability from simply saying no to this product? How will that impact our revenues and our profit? Put another way, and this was Chris and Luis that handled this, what is Zyn's contribution to our overall revenues and what is Zyn's contribution to our overall profits?
Zyn's revenue contributes to 32% of our profits. And I feel like the way we're going about this, as far as regulatory stuff, we're proactively addressing the future issue that might come. As we saw in the chart and the pattern, as Juul a rise in the stock and then plummeting towards regulatory standards. So we're trying to be, this is a proactive approach to what we're recommending you guys.
Could you address in terms of restricting who is available to get this? How do you propose to restrict physical distribution of Zyn so that it doesn't get into the hands of kids?
Overall, I think what just needs to be done is just more research on where we are sending these products. A lot of the times, from experience in a sense of, there's like the local mini marts and everything that are mostly surrounded or near middle schools, high schools, very young children where they have easy access, whether they're going out for lunch or they're waiting for a parent to pick them up. I think if there was just more, like as we were saying, regulation and research on where these products will be headed and where they will be most at risk for the youth is how we can kind of keep it out of sight, out of mind in a way from the younger generation.
Thank you, Layla. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody's work on this. I'm embarrassed to say, as a member of the board, I don't know the answer to this question. The celebrities that you mentioned that are endorsing and talking about Zyn, Josh Allen and the rest, are we paying them?
Yeah, so they receive a allotted amount of money for promotion. So every
From
commercial,
us? From
Yes.
Philip Morris?
yes.
Yikes.
So every commercial or ad that you see that has their face in it, they get an allotted amount of money for that, based on the amount of views, right? A lot of times, a lot of the places that are promoting this product Zyn is on TikTok or Instagram, which I'm sure you're familiar with. TikTok and Instagram have millions and millions of underage youth, children that are seeing this thing, and they're saying to themselves, well, if Josh Allen's saying this, then I can do that too, because he's my hero, he's my guy, like I can do this if he's saying that it's okay. But he's not doing it for the well-being of them, he's doing it for the money. And I think if we can limit the amount of promotional promotion of this product on these platforms and keep it to a certain age range, as you have to put in your age for Instagram or TikTok. Why should my little brother, who's 16 years old, be seeing these things when the legal age to buy nicotine products is 21 years old?
That's a good insight, because the celebrities and the platforms skew very young, but we're saying we don't want young people to use this. I think that's a valuable recommendation.
Also,
Could you tell me
going along,
again, I'm sorry about my lack of information on this. Can you tell me how the health risks of Zyn are different from our other product, which is IBESCC? IBESCC is the thing that we're selling that heats up tobacco rather than burning it. Has anybody done a comparison of the health risks of IBESCC versus Zyn? You mentioned it as
so
one of your
I haven't looked in
items for-
specifically into the specific health issues from Ecos, but what I can do is compare it to your traditional cigarette from Zyns.
Mhm.
Well, as Zyns are more of a mouth consumption, it affects your gums heavily, as Jameson went into.
Good.
In comparison to Ecos, I'll be fully honest, we haven't done our full research on the health effects of it, but they do target it as a healthy alternative as well as they do with Zyns, because it technically is smokeless. It's just a heated bud that you put into an electric cigarette, and it heats from there and it causes vapor. So if I had to guess, it probably has very similar effects to traditional cigarettes, but without the typical ingredients that you would see in the tobacco that they put in those cigarettes.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to shut up and let my colleagues ask. Well,
I'm still wondering, are we paying you as consultants for this presentation and the work you've done? And if so, I assume we are, you're asking us to put ourselves out of business.
So we are being hired by you, yes. But the reason you guys are hiring us is because of the many class action lawsuits that you guys have been brought to you guys. There's been 3 in the last couple of years, and the settlements have been all over $100 million. If we can keep these class action lawsuits away from you, then you guys will benefit as a company, and PMI will thrive as it has continued to thrive, but in a healthier way towards the youth. And, in general, it'll thrive for you guys. It'll thrive for the population that is having a nicotine epidemic currently.
And I think to go along those lines, because we are here to make money, and I think there's no reason for us to shy away from that. And we're very proud of what Zen is able to offer, which is an alternative to cigarettes. It's not as addicting. It has no nicotine, even though it has the substance that you all spoke of earlier. And one of your recommendations, you mentioned strict oversight, which is a nasty word in our business. But part of your recommendation, what would you say? What would you say to our research and development part of our firm that has done an awesome job developing Zen? What are some of the recommendations, or do you have any where we can be able to pass this strict oversight that you think should be in place?
Yeah, so we talked about the ingredients that are in Zen that have been known to cause cancer: formaldehyde, ammonia, nickel, chromium, sweeteners. Those are all been known to cause cancer. So if we can limit the amount of harmful ingredients that are going into your product, then we can pass that FDA insight with ease. It won't be an issue because, like, they have authorized the use of nicotine in products, right? But they have not done enough research on formaldehyde, nickel, chromium, ammonia for them to be able to pass that to be able to put into products. So I think if we can limit the amount of negative materials in these products, then you guys will continue to thrive as a company.
I'm sorry, could I explore your recommendations once more? First of all, this product is different from our previous vape products because third-party people put together the vape cartridges and we lost control of that, and that killed us. That's really what did us in. But let me ask you, highlighting your recommendations, Layla has said we should hold Philip Morris accountable and get approval for any new flavors pre-launch. Jamie is saying, yes, we should follow FDA regulations very clearly. Chris is saying that we should voluntarily exceed disclosure requirements. So I'm hearing 2 things that say follow the law and the other one that says lead the law. Did I hear that wrong, or is this something we need to talk about more?
I feel like let me see how to put this. We definitely want to, first and foremost, follow the law. We don't want you guys to face any more scrutiny or have to deal with any more legal allegations or issues. So we can put that in place. And then also, I think the more of what you're speaking of, lead the law, is more of we just want things to be done better. And as a consulting company, we are in a position where we want to help you we want to help you keep your money, not lose it. And who knows, down the road, things could go completely left, or you can still be going at a steady pace. So I think it could be considered a little bit of both, just for this particular situation, and the gravity of everything it holds. But overall, it's more of a do whatever needs to be done to be better, in a sense.
Thank you for your answer.
Okay. Any more questions from the judges? If not, everybody take a deep breath. Time for feedback. I'm very impressed with the way you divided up the topics. You've clearly coordinated with each other, and your slides were very readable and very easy to follow. So nicely done.
Thank you.
One of the things that I definitely appreciate is the amount of research that you all did. So thank you so much for for that. I learned a lot. So some things surprising, some things not so surprising. So thank you so much for that. I will say for your slides, if you could number them, because I was trying to make reference to what was happening. And I was like, okay, well, I can't say that was slide number 3 or slide 5, because so I would say just as feedback, just make sure you number your slides and features. That'd be helpful.
Thank you.
Scott, feedback for the team?
Great pacing. Nobody was nervous. You didn't appear to be reading from a script. You're comfortable with your topic. I've asked all sorts of squirrely questions. I appreciate you being able to answer them or to reasonably deflect them. I really enjoyed listening to your presentation. There are people who believe that the tobacco industry shouldn't exist at all. So being able to be a consultant to an industry that some people says markets death and shouldn't exist, boy, that's a difficult job to have. And I enjoyed the way that you have approached that. Thank you, guys.